Hey, welcome to No Ideas Original Sports. I'm here with Reem and Theo. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Doing good.
All is well.
Hey, so we got a lot of things to catch up on or something now. The playoffs have evolved and we're down to the final four teams. You got the Suns and the Clippers, and we got Milwaukee and Atlanta. So right now, I would say, what do we think? Because listen, I think personally the Clippers might be done.
Yeah, I think the Kawhi injury might be a bit much for them. So I got the Suns, especially they're down 3-1 now. So I got the Suns coming out of the West.
Well, right now it looks good for Phoenix right now, even though Game 5 was a very winnable game for the Clippers, but they couldn't close it out. Paul George didn't have a real good game. Right now he's hearing, I guess all the haters now for his very subpar performance. But I think it's over now. I think if Clippers would have won Game 5, we never could know. I would still say Suns up, but maybe go 7.
Yeah.
So right
Yeah.
now, losing Game 5 at home, it's going to be tough, man, for sure. It's going to be tough. So they might be out of there come Monday, Tuesday.
And the thing that's interesting is that, like, Kawhi injury aside, all the games been competitive for the most part. So it's not like they, going out there getting blown out. So I do think that Kawhi injury really was really. And sad thing about it is the way the league shaped up. This might have been the best year, best opportunity they had because I could see, different teams coming back. I'm sure the Lakers roster will look different. Different teams will come back reloaded. So this might have been one of their best opportunities.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point.
So switching over to the East, we got Atlanta and Milwaukee. I mean, I don't know. I could just be a hater, but I want to see Atlanta win. I don't know about winning the championship, but I want to see them beat Milwaukee. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for me at this point, I would like to see a Suns Hawks finals. Why not? I don't have anything against the Bucks. It wouldn't be bad to see Giannis in there, but I think Atlanta, um, at least leading into the series, was the more exciting of the two teams for me. So why not seeing that Atlanta in there?
Yeah, Atlanta would be a good look for the state of Atlanta. Them going to the finals. They're playing real good right now. Milwaukee Bucks, there's sometimes there's certain teams doesn't grasp your attention. Sometimes they're kind of boring and or just methodical, or sometimes you get tired of blowing big leads all the time every year, which is
Yeah,
kind of weird it back in head sometimes. And Milwaukee Bucks are known for that, blowing big leads for the last few years, even this year's playoff series, I should say. So that being said, I think the Bucks are the better team right now, especially if they keep feeding the post,
yeah.
attacking the basket. And but you know what? The Hawks make it. Why not? I won't be surprised. They do beat the Milwaukee Bucks because the Bucks are very up and down, super high team. But I'll still say it'll be Bucks and Suns for sure.
I do think what's interesting too. I think again, this might be another situation where this might be Giannis's best opportunity to get to the championship because the Knicks will be better next year. They won't sneak up on anybody, but they'll be better. If the Nets should have fully healthy team, so they'll be better. The Sixers might need one piece or something or whatever to be better. So then, plus some of these coaching changes, I'm sure will help too. I'm expecting a team like Indiana probably to be a little better.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this might be a good opportunity for Giannis too. So this might, but looking at the teams, I mean, Atlanta will be nice to see, but this might be a good. This might be Chris Paul and Giannis's golden opportunity this year.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, if Giannis doesn't get it this year, at least make the finals, then he's going to have a tougher road next season. Because even with Philly, I would say Philly's going to come back tough again. They're not an easy out.
Yeah,
The Nets, like you mentioned, Indiana, the Knicks. It's going to be a tougher road. So right there, it's kind of there for the taking for Giannis in terms of making the finals. I still don't know if they would beat the Suns if they do make it. I'm assuming the Suns will close that series out. I don't know if they'll beat the Suns, but this is probably Giannis's best chance before they look into breaking that team up.
Don't forget Miami Heat too. Pat Riley, man.
Yeah,
yeah, bring somebody in.
They were
reload.
skipping on something. They
And
were
you got to
skipping.
figure too. Look at Charlotte. They went there. They didn't have Gordon Hayward, and they got a high lottery pick again. So you add the
Mm-hmm.
right player and you play Gordon Hayward. So I don't know about being a championship mix, but I think there'll be a tougher out.
Same thing with maybe Toronto too, right? Who knows what they do? Toronto
Yeah.
is generally tough over these last few years, so depending on what moves they make in the offseason, they could be a better team.
So this a real good year for Chris Paul or Giannis. So it'll be
Yes.
interesting to see if either one of them take advantage of that. From what we've seen in these playoffs, do we see Trey Young as a superstar, all star? What do we think of Trey Young? I just want to start with saying one thing about this. When that Trey Young Luka Doncic deal went off, everybody was like they don't know what was going on. The deal seemed like it wasn't even or something, and everybody seemed Doncic. Looking at it now, the Hawks got out of that deal. They got Trey Young, would end up being Cam Reddish, and I think it might have been Hunter too, or what. So I would have to say, just from a trade perspective, I still think that Luke is a generational player, but I would have to say the Hawks probably won that deal.
Yeah, I would agree. Just because they got another piece, I know they got at least one more pick.
Yeah, I know they got Reddish in that deal, Reddish and Young.
So just from that perspective, Reddish, injured this season, so hasn't had a chance really to show what he could do, unfortunately. But yeah, Trey Young being as good as he is alone makes it at least a conversation between who won the deal, even without Reddish included. Because Luka plays a style of game that's it's not good. It depends on who his supporting cast is, Luka, the way he plays. Trey Young, similar, where he could be very ball dominant, but I think Trey Young is better at getting into that paint and finding his teammates than Luka. So I don't know. To me, going back to your original question about whether Trey Young is a superstar, I would say so. Um, reason being is, yeah, sure, he hasn't really done it consistently at this level. But the reason why I say he's a superstar now is I just don't see him getting worse. He's only going to get better. The only thing I see happening to him is maybe less free throw attempts, right? Due to the rule they're looking into with jumping into defenses. And so that may subtract a couple of points maybe from his averages. But skill set wise, I don't see him getting any worse. The guy's only going to get better. So I would say he's a superstar now. He's definitely proved he should have been on that All-Star team.
From his playoff performances alone, he's definitely a superstar. Big stage, big lights. He's carrying the team in his back. We need a big shot. He's either creating shots for others or making shots for himself. And in the first playoff game in the East Conference Final, he scored 50 points, man, out the gate. So he's been killing everybody, whether it's Ben Simmons, whether New York Knicks, or no matter who it is. So right now, from this point forward, I will say he's a superstar for sure.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. So moving from the different things as far as the teams in the finals, there's been a lot of individual jabber about players, player movement, different movement of things. I mean, let's start with Ben Simmons. I mean, I don't know, man. I gotta say, Ben Simmons been in the league 4 or 5 years now. I really haven't seen that much improvement from where he was when he first got there. Maybe a little bit, but not a lot. And I don't think into this day's NBA you can have somebody on the court that's just not going to take shots or not even attempt shots or anything like that. So I mean, and he in the last couple of games he looked a little shell shocked. I mean, if you're Philly, do you keep Ben Simmons or do you package him away? And if you're going to trade Ben Simmons, what type of player could you get back that would actually help you? That getting rid of Ben Simmons wouldn't hurt you.
I would look to trade him if I'm Philly. While he still has some value, he can't go through another season the way he did this year. Granted, he wasn't horrible during the regular season. He kind of got exposed again in the playoffs. But that seems to be his thing these last few seasons is getting exposed in the playoffs. I know Rudy Gobert is kind of like the same way. When it comes to the playoffs, these guys kind of regress. But I would look to trade him. I like the idea. I'm not sure Portland would do it, but I like the idea of the whole C.J. McCollum rumor that was out there of dumping Ben Simmons because McCollum could create his own shot. So I think he would kind of work well with Embiid and the guys they have over there. But, yeah, I would look to trade him from Philly and see what I can get before his value is diminished even more. And it's not that he's horrible. but he's definitely not worth the money, at least not yet that they paid him. So you got to trade him to me before his value gets even worse. And if he ends up developing that jump shot, then so be it. But I think you can get decent enough value for him where at the very least you got to look into it. You got to throw his name out there and see what you could get in return.
Sometimes in sports we could be prisoners of the moment, so to speak. Ben Simmons is a very good player. Outside of his offense, he can rebound, he can defend, he has good court vision, he can pass. That being said, this is disappointing how he performed in the fourth quarter in the last 7 games. The whole series just against Atlanta. And like Kenyatta said, he hasn't improved. And some guys so talented don't need to improve. With him, it makes no sense. But he's a guy who comes to a court every game with 10 rebounds, 10 assists.
Yeah,
every game, at least 70 games out of 82 for sure. That should tell you how good Ben Simmons is.
Yeah.
But what I've seen from the series is that he struggled to score even in the paint.
Yeah.
His not even that either as well. He could even actually moves, even the floaters, the little baby hook shots. Those wasn't going either. Some of them look like kind of bricks too as well to be so close to the rim. So but I don't feel sorry for him. You've been in 5-6 years before Kobe Bryant passed away. He said you need to work on this and that to go to another level. If a Kobe Bryant to mention your name and say, listen, Kenyatta Arena, we got to work on this, you be another level. Why not do it? Why not take Kobe Bryant's advice? Say, what? Kobe Bryant said, if I do this, work on my game. And not Ben Simmons, though. It takes him to get embarrassed in the semifinals of the playoffs. And honestly, too, the Philly fans are rough. They're like New York fans, man. They're worse than us, man. They don't want him over there no more, man.
No.
So for them to keep him, it's going to take a lot, and he better show up that jump shot day one of next season if they do keep him, man. So right now, the Philly fans don't want him around, man. They don't want him around.
And he shot like a historic low from the free throw line too. It's not like we're asking him to shoot threes. At least hit your free throws and a mid-range jumper. I'm not expecting him to come back and be, a 3-point threat. But at the very least, you got to knock down free throws and an occasional mid-range. And you got to be on top of that. You got to be willing to shoot the ball. We all know about the infamous dunk that he didn't do.
Yeah. I don't understand that.
I was right there. You're supposed to slam that. He's 6'9". You got muscles on top of muscles. And you see Trae Young coming over and you don't slam it.
Trae Young not doing anything in that situation.
I would have tried to put Trae Young through the
Hey, I'm sorry. I watched that play. Video, still pictures, behind the basket, other side of the court, other side of the arena. Any way you can think of, I've seen that. And Trae did not do anything but taking the ball and inbounding the ball.
Yeah.
After a dunk. Well, he dunking it or laying up. What's going through his mind? That play alone showed that he already checked out mentally from an offensive point.
Yeah.
I can't over that play, honestly. I really can't. I don't understand.
He called that play out in the conference after the game. He said he felt that's where they lost the game at Embiid.
Well, right. His Ben Simmons' confidence was gone. He was shot.
Exactly.
And it was funny because it's like when he came in, they hyped him up to defend. He gonna shut Trae Young down and all this stuff. And when that didn't work out, it seemed like he took a smack. And then these other dudes started talking to him, Collins and all of them. Collins coming to the press conference with the T-shirt on and stuff. I think they kind of took away his heart too.
Yeah. Like it.
I would say too, in today's NBA, like individual one-on-one defense isn't as important as it used to be because they're only going to pick you off, right? They're only going to run screen and roll on you all day. So Ben Simmons is a great on-ball defender. All they kept doing is bringing, their bigs out, right? Have Capella, whoever it is, set a screen. Now Trae Young is mismatched on somebody else.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons doesn't even get the opportunity to guard him one-on-one.
No, not really. Like, years ago you could look at the way they used to do it, but they don't do that anymore. Like if Ben Simmons picked them up full court or something and tried to, I don't even think he could do that either. Pick him up and put pressure on him full court. So I think he'd be one move away. This guy make one move and blow the whole defense up. So it's kind of tough, especially like these mixed matchup defenders. Now, don't get me wrong, Ben Simmons is a great defender, but I don't even him. I still know. I don't know if I just have him putting on quick point guards and stuff like that. That's not necessarily like that's the matchup they needed him for that particular series, but that's not the best matchup for him either.
Mm-hmm.
And Philly's biggest problem is their best defenders have no offense, so you can't even put them all out there on the court. Like Thibault is a hell of a defender too, but you can't have him and Ben Simmons on the court at the same time because now you got all this defense, but nobody can score.
Right.
So you got to mismatch those two together periodically. You can't play them extended minutes.
Well, it makes it tough.
Harris, I don't know what he was doing out there. He didn't look shook to me, but he wasn't playing like his normal self either.
They seem confused. They whole team seemed everybody except for Embiid seemed like they were confused. And then it seemed like to me at some point he almost checked out too.
I'll tell you one person who was watching that series saying I told you was probably Jimmy Butler, right? Because that's part of the reason why Jimmy Butler supposedly left is Ben Simmons. He couldn't reach him in terms of getting him to put in the work.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's lost.
Yeah. It's gonna be. I think it's gonna. I think if I was Ben Simmons, I might want to leave too. Like Theo was saying with the Philly fans, it might be time for both sides to part ways. For the best for everybody. Because, like you said, if he get out there in the first game and he can't hit shots, or they're gonna crucify him. So
yeah, he may have a couple of years. Go slide over to the Orlando Magic for 2 or 3 years and develop your jump shot where nobody really cares over there too much. But Philly, New York, Chicago, these are tough crowds,
Yeah.
Especially when you're making maximum money.
Yeah,
he take a shot in the fourth quarter over four games or whatever it is. That something is wrong.
I tell you what, and that CJ McCollum deal, I bet you that they're gonna want more than Ben Simmons. You're gonna give Ben Simmons and Tyrese Maxey, not just Ben Simmons. I'm not just taking Ben Simmons for CJ McCollum straight up. Or pick or something, because right now Ben Simmons is not at a high point, a high trading point.
Yeah, his value's down right now.
Yeah.
His value's definitely down right now. And what you should do is take the offer of Mahmoud Abdul-Rahuf's offer, teach him how to shoot, man.
Yeah. I think
there's no way he could go into this off season and not work on that jump shot.
Right. Well, you see, Doc Rivers brought it up.
Nobody's expecting him realistically to come back as a knockdown shooter, but next season, no matter where he's playing, next season he has to be able to hit, or at least be willing to take jump shots.
You're gonna laugh. You know who he should watch? It sounds crazy. He should watch Giannis. Giannis is fairly decent at those mid range now. He's not a 3-point shooter, but he'll hit a couple occasionally. But he's not afraid to shoot them at this point.
Right.
So, plus, like with Giannis, the thing is, like we were saying before, the team is kind of like built around him, so they have the perimeter shooters. Whereas Ben Simmons, he's a better slasher, but even that, he was almost like he was scared to do that because he didn't want to get fouled. So he was afraid to slash to the basket. But Ben Simmons would need a team of shooters around him and play that Giannis type of role where you just open it up, right, and give him the whole middle of the court to try to drive. If they cut him off, then he's kicking it out to a shooter. But that can't work, that pairing with him and Embiid the way it's currently constructed, because Embiid, remember, complained when he got moved out on the perimeter.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, right? Because you move him back down low if you're Doc Rivers, and now Embiid is in the MVP conversation, right? Most of the season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a weird pairing between those two, Ben Simmons and Embiid. And that's mostly due to Ben Simmons' lack of a jump shot.
Yep.
Okay, I got one last thing on Ben Simmons, and this is scary. Before the season started, Philly wouldn't trade for Harden because they didn't want to include Ben Simmons. Think about that. Right now, somebody's job might be at stake.
Brand.
Yeah, Elton. Yeah, I won't trade Ben Simmons for James Harden. Okay.
Yeah, right now the whole trust the process throughout the entire process, the only main play they got out of it was Embiid so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we heard we got a couple of other guys that was in that we different things going on. I mean, this playoffs we've seen Donovan Mitchell put up good numbers. We see Devin Booker continue to put up great numbers and stuff. Let's start with Donovan Mitchell. I, I, it's mind-boggling that somebody. Don't get me wrong. I like Donovan Mitchell. He's a New York kid, everything. But to say Donovan Mitchell is the best player to ever play in the Utah Jazz history, I can't go with that one.
No, not at all. I guess Karl Malone, Stockton, Mark, Eaton, all these guys. I guess they never existed.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. He's good. I love him, like you say. He's from New York, but he's not even in the conversation right now for top player in Jazz history.
Yeah, well said. I can't add more to that.
Yeah. I mean, think about it. We talking about Karl Malone as a top 10 player of all time, not the Jazz, of the whole NBA. You trying to say Donovan Mitchell is in the top 10 of the NBA history right now? Yeah, he's better. Yeah, I thought that statement was crazy. I mean, at this point, I don't even know. I wouldn't even necessarily say Donovan Mitchell's a superstar. I think he's an all-star. I think he does a lot of volume shooting. Like, he takes a lot of shots to get a lot of points. But you think he's a superstar, Donovan Mitchell? It's I think to me it's on the fence. I don't know if he's a superstar yet.
Yeah, I think he's borderline. I'm leaning towards him being one simply because that Utah Jazz team for most of the year was the best team in the league, at least on paper and record wise. But I'm not willing to call him one just yet. I think he's borderline. I wouldn't be upset with other people calling him one.
Yeah, I wouldn't be upset with it.
To call him one yet myself.
I won't be mad, like you guys said, if somebody said he is or not. I think what happens during the series is that he missed Mike Conley, really, because now he plays point guard, right? So, it's definitely a position that he's not really familiar with, let alone play that position in the playoffs. It's kind of tough, actually, So I think that really hurt him too as well. I think his production dropped too as well.
Yeah.
The first one, he wilded out
dramatically. Yeah.
Right, he wilded out. So he had a big drop off from that. That's playing point guard, which is not. Try to get others involved, know when to shoot, take over, pass the ball. So and that showed a lot during the series when I had Mike Conley.
Sure. I agree with that. It was tough for him.
Yeah, it was very tough. So him being superstar
back from injury.
Yeah, you're right, and he was coming back from injury, so he had a lot of things working against him.
Right.
But I do think he was him. He's definitely the superstar of that team, and he definitely will be there.
Right.
Booker. I mean, to me, sometimes it looks like Booker plays better when Chris Paul's not there. To me, when Chris Paul's not there, he plays better. But I think Booker could be a superstar. I think he maybe, but I think he's got a lot of help. Like when we watched the Suns, it didn't seem like he had a lot of help, but his supporting cast is a little better than what people give him credit for. Maybe,
right?
Like Ayton is pretty good. Bridges is pretty good. All those guys, like when you watch the game, those guys everybody can score on that team.
Jay Carter solid.
Yeah. Cam Johnson. All those guys can score points.
A left-handed point guard, Cameron Payne, right?
Yeah.
Now coming into the season, their supporting cast, like you said, on paper, I wasn't sold on them, but as the season went on, those guys proved themselves.
Yeah, they seem like.
I would say for me, I think Devin Booker is a superstar, but I agree with what you said also that he plays better, I think, without CP3. The CP3 is very ball dominant, and Booker needs that ball in his hands. But Booker's more of a shot creator. He doesn't need you to set him up. And CP3's whole thing is to pound the ball, dribble a clock out, and then dish off or hit that little mid-range shot. So I think he kind of sort of slows down the pacing, but I think at the same time he does provide a bunch of leadership that team needs too.
Yeah.
So kind of like, twofold with CP3 adds and takes away from that team.
I would call Devin a superstar. He's shown enough to me to elevate his status to superstar. It's kind of tough to say that CP3 is, I guess, holding him back or he plays better because he had CP3 the whole season up until the playoff time where he got hurt. So it's kind of tough for me to agree with you on that point. But it's fair to understand because the game that he was out, they played pretty good. With Cameron Payne was born out of his mind, and he had I guess a more fast paced offense. Than now, CP3 is a little more methodical here and there. But whether it have CP3 or Cameron Payne, I think Booker's still a very good player. It's all about him not setting for his jump shot, but he does a lot. I can see him, I guess, attack the rim a little more than usual. Sometimes I give credit to Pat Beverly, man, my man, Bedbug. You know what I'm saying? He's doing pretty good with him.
Yeah.
So, I'm not really a big fan of his, though, but I give him his props, though. He's playing well defensively on Booker, making work for it as well. So,
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, that as well. But Booker's an all-star. I mean, superstar. Excuse me.
So we're looking at this. We'll say, but again, this seems to be a year by year thing or something. Do we think? Me personally, I don't put the Clippers' losses on all Paul George, all of them, but he seems to be again somewhat the GOAT in a lot of this different stuff with the Clippers. I mean, Kawhi's not there. I mean, he's put up statistically. I don't see where people can say he's the GOAT. Like, not the GOAT where he's basically the guy killing them, whatever, with statistic wise. But I mean, I know he had one gaffe that cost him. But do you guys think that that Paul George was him was him letting these guys down again in the playoffs?
I don't think so. Like you said, missing Kawhi, who's really the guy who was supposed to be the number one option on the team, with PG-13, the second option, missing your number one option is a big deal, And Paul George, he's missed some big free throws in both these last two games, which probably cost them the games. But at the same time, without him, I don't even know if they're in that position, right, where those free throws even matter. Granted, he's taking it's high volume scoring. He's taking 1 million shots to get his points, but I don't know if he doesn't do that. I don't know who else on that team to score. I like what Reggie Jackson is giving them. But beyond Reggie Jackson creating for himself and Paul George, who else is creating shots? I know Terrence Mann got hot a little bit there in the playoffs. He had a nice run, but I don't know who could create their own shot on that team. So he's missed some big shots, but without him, I don't think they're even in position to be in these close games.
The criticism of Paul George is definitely fair. Only because he feels he's that guy. He always says in an interview, he feels he's that guy. He feels he could be a Batman, so to speak. Always have that mentality all along before he went to the Clippers. And he had opportunity to, I guess, showcase it now with Kawhi being out. That may be a game or two, I guess, showing it. But the last few games with the free throw line, he didn't come through. Last night he was 5 for 24, 1 for 9 3-point range, missing key free throws consecutively when the Suns trying to give the game away. So the hatred is warranted, and only because he feels he's that guy. He feels he's a top tier Batman kind of guy who could lead a team. And so far, he has shown that he could do it more than he can.
Yeah, you know what? That's a point well taken. Like, he hasn't come up in the big moments that they need him. The games haven't been blowouts. They've all been within reach. And at different points, they could have used him to step up, and it just hasn't happened.
And honestly, too, add on too. Listen, Reggie Jackson has reemerged, man. I see him make more big shots than Paul George. Honestly, one game, the young kid won it for them when he went out of his mind.
Yep.
Yeah. And Reggie Jackson arguably been more consistent than Paul George, believe it or not. I'll see him make some real big shots when needed shots or back-to-back threes. I mean, Reggie Jackson has really been doing his thing, man.
Yeah.
He's playing himself into a nice payday, that's for sure, Reggie Jackson.
This has been good for him. Yeah, this has been a real good playoffs for him.
Mm-hmm.
And he always could ball. It just was whether he could stay healthy or not, Reggie Jackson.
Right. That is true. But I've seen, from what I recall right now, off my head, I could see, or I recall, I should say, Reggie Jackson making more shots than PG-13.
Yeah, I can see
he's playing well.
I can see that. So in the NBA, we've had a bunch of different coaching changes and a bunch of different rumors. We got Jason Kidd now, the coach of the Dallas Mavericks. We got Billups, who's supposed to be a coach of the Trailblazers. We got the ex Dallas coach, I forget his name, but the
Oh,
coach of the Pacers.
Carlisle's, right?
Carlisle's the coach of the Pacers. And we still got interesting, a couple of jobs out there and interesting candidates like Becky Hammond and different Dawn Staley and people out there possibly for jobs. Um, for me, I think from a fit perspective, I I mean I have to say I like Carlisle on Indiana. I think that's a good one. Um, I think some of the other ones, listen, I'll let you guys talk a little more about because I'm not too sure about some of these other parents or something just from like the past performance and what I think the teams need.
Like Jason Kidd for me, I never really he wasn't horrible, but I never been huge on Jason Kidd in terms of coaching when he was with the Nets. I wasn't a huge fan of his. Again, he's not terrible, but I don't know if he would have been my top choice. But I guess it's one of those. He has that relationship right with the organization over there in Dallas, having played for them right to start his career,
Mhm.
etc. And plus, I would imagine they're looking at him as maybe like the point guard whisperer, right? So maybe he could elevate. I don't even know how that's possible, but maybe he could elevate the game to an even higher level, if that's even possible. So I could see why they went that route, given his history with the team. Point guard, maybe he can elevate Luca, and so that one, all right, I get it. Carlisle's, like you said, I kind of sort of get his. I think Indiana could use some of that, I guess, discipline, so to speak. And they're one of those type of teams already. I think the other guy who they had went overboard with it, it seems like. So I wasn't surprised to see him get let go. Um, in regards to like Becky Hammond, Staley, I would love to see it. It seems like they're both like good coaches. It doesn't come across to me like, oh, we got to get one of them in just to get a female coach in the league. I think both of them have put in the time. They seem like they're good coaches. So I would love to see one of them get an opportunity. I know Penny supposedly too on Orlando side. Penny supposedly emerged as like a serious candidate.
And I forgot about Udoka with the Celtics.
With the Celtics, yeah. I believe he has a good relationship, from my understanding, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. They had some input there. So I don't mind that one either. It's just going to be interesting as to, I know Udoka comes from kind of sort of like a long line. Like, wasn't he part of the
Popovich.
Popovich
Yeah.
thing? So he should be on paper well schooled, so that might not be bad. Overall, I think the coaching changes are pretty good. The only thing I would say is I would like to see some more like fresh blood get in there too, because I think a lot of these teams just keep shuffling the same coaches around instead of going with new talent. So I would like to see a little more new talent get opportunities. But other than that, I don't think I'm too upset with any of the coaching changes that happened.
I'm not too upset with any hirings. You know, Judoka, he's a guy who paid his dues, 7 years with the Spurs, 1 year with 1 years other places. So and plus, he had been circling for the last 2 3 years as far as the head coach. So I'm glad he got his chance. Kind of strange that he ended up in Portland because he's a Portland born and raised kind of guy. So you figure Portland knows him very well from his
Yeah.
playing days and his days, paying his due. Maybe Portland would give him a chance. He's a home guy. So but Tulsa made a good move. You know, he has a familiarity with Marcus Smart and Tatum and Brown, as Reem just said previously. So he's good with relations. Real quick, I even seen Rudy Gay came out too as well, endorsing him too. So that's a good hire for you, dog. He's a young guy. Maybe he could relate more to Boston's big two, so to speak. Chauncey Billups. I mean, Chauncey Billups is a champion. He's been around the game for a long period of time. You know, he's been an analyst on ESPN, so I'm quite sure he had a lot of footage, breaking down players' games and other things he can add to his game, he add to his resume, so to speak, until he gets a coaching experience or coaching opening. And maybe he could reach out to Dame Lillard, man. You know, listen, maybe Dame Lillard will respect him more. He's a champion. He's well liked, very good player in the league when he played. So I'm not mad at that Portland hiring Chauncey Billups. He deserved it. He paid his dues, I guess, so to speak. And Carlisle, he speaks for himself. He's a good coach. He could be my head coach right now if I wanted to. So
Yeah,
I ain't mad with Carlisle at all. Penny Hardaway, that's pretty cool. I mentioned that a few shows ago about Penny Hardaway could be going to Orlando.
yeah,
So if I'm Orlando, why not, man? You got a young team. I'm quite sure he could like those young players like the big tall guy Mo Bamba, maybe Koy
yeah.
Anthony, so why not? But he's well known in that area anyway, so I wouldn't mind seeing that happen. Um, as far as Becky Hammond, she paid her dues, so did Dawn Staley, so you can't really go wrong hiring any two females to be head coach. I think Becky may have the edge based on her already being in NBA for a period of time, whereas Dawn has been in the college level for as far as coaching wise. But I say edge going Becky because she's been around the men, so to speak, so she has a better grasp of the NBA style more than Dawn. But both would be good hirings for sure.
Yeah. I, I mean, for me, I look at it like you said. Becky Hammond, she got what's it? I mean, that Popovich coaching tree helps out a lot. He let her
Yeah.
coach the summer league team and the G League team, so that helps out a lot. Udoka's relationships help. Um, you look at it, Chauncey Billups could probably help Damian Lillard because I think maybe there might be a leadership issue over there or something. Where
Right.
yeah, I
That's
think
fair.
so. I think
That's fair.
Dame gets his numbers and CJ gets his numbers, but I don't see who gets the other guys involved, or gets the team going. They just a bunch of guys that play together. And
You know
then
what's crazy though, regarding the whole Chauncey Billups thing, is on social media and all over the media, there's rumblings that hiring, not that it upset Dame, but he didn't like being associated with it. Like people saying he pushed for it and stuff like that, and they're saying that could potentially drive him to ask for a trade.
I mean, I
That
think CJ.
hiring, like being associated with the hiring as if he's the one who was behind the scenes pushing for it, they said. And his like he's not sure whether Portland could build a competing roster in the West. So right now, if you look all over social media, you see a bunch of Dame like in Knicks jerseys. That rumor is flying heavy right now.
I gotta tell you, Dame's got a lot of stuff going on right now. Because remember, before it was the Chauncey Billups thing, it was the Jason Kidd thing. Where he's
Very similar, yeah.
yeah. So to me, I'd rather him just man up and say I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah, just ask out if that's the
Just
case.
ask out because all of this stuff that's going on, or they said I said this and I said this and stuff. I mean,
He may be
you
looking
can't. You got to realize this: when you leave a team and you were the star, you can't expect to not be the villain. He's trying to get out of there and still be a nice guy to Portland. They're
I
gonna
think
hate you
so,
either
yeah.
way.
Yeah, I
You
think so.
leave, they'll love you. They'll love you when you go to retire. But if
Comes
you leave
across like
Portland,
he's trying to play both sides of the
yeah,
fence.
yeah, he wants the team to take it on top of the head for him leaving, and he leave unscathed. Dude, you want to go? Say you want to
Yeah,
go.
I think he.
I
I
don't even tell you the
think
truth. I don't even think Portland will mind him saying he wants to go. And it's not about you got to figure he's a max player. You're not going to win with him. They probably if he's going, they'll probably give it a CJ2 and just blow the whole thing up. Right now, you don't tell me that if they wanted to. I mean, everybody thinks you're supposed to trade a guy where you want to go. You know what? I trade him where I want to get the picks. Dame, you'll be the star OKC.
no, they're
I
saying
have a bunch of picks and this same stuff. But wherever I could get the most for Dame is where Dame would go.
like with the Knicks, they're saying the Knicks may be willing to give up 3 or 4 first rounders, Obi Toppin, maybe RJ Barrett. I mean, if you're looking to rebuild, the Knicks sound like they're willing to overpay to get them.
If you're gonna give up all deals I think revolve around the Knicks start with three guys: R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin, and Mitchell Robinson. Listen, those are the three guys that remember the Knicks went that far without Mitch, so they can probably, if they needed to, deal without him. Obi, he's young and you don't really know exactly what you got with him, but he's never gonna play over Randall, so that's he'll be sitting forever. And Barrett is the number 3 pick with enough talent that people to pique people's interest. The rest of the roster are guys you have to keep and guys that are not, guys you have to keep and guys that's not signed. So they're not gonna want the guys you don't want. Nobody's gonna want Neil Keita, the point guard that shouldn't be
Right.
playing. Yeah, nobody's gonna want those guys. And the other guys, they could sign them, like guys like Bullock and the other. Those guys will be free agents. So if they really want them, they could get them without dealing with you. So realistically, any deal is gonna probably be built around RJ Barrett picks and Toppin. But I mean,
Yeah,
if they can
I
pull that
agree.
off, I don't think it's a bad deal either way. I mean, I think it'll be a good deal for the Knicks to do.
I think Dame needs to just, like you said, man up, ask out, and then Portland needs to just blow it up. Because right now they're not. I don't think the way they're constructed, they're not coming out of the West, and I don't think they have enough money, nor can they really attract like a big free agent, even if they did have the money. These guys don't want to go play in Portland. You know, Portland right now is not an attractive spot for these free agents.
But
Plus, they got a lot of money tied up. They don't have a bunch of cap space. They got Nurkic, right, who's pretty good, but he's eating up cap space.
yeah,
Name we know is getting paid. CJ is getting paid.
I mean, if I'm Portland and I could do it, I try to get the Knicks to do a 3-way deal. So because if you look at the draft, there's some point guards that you could get in there that could start right now. You go out there and draft one of those dudes. Let Dame go on, put the franchise in this kid's hands. You got Billups. You get a couple other young players, like you got the guy Simmons on the bench that he doesn't get to play. You got Nasir Little from North Carolina that people forgot he even existed. He's on the roster. So they got some young players that just never get to play because you signing people like Derek Jones. What was he gonna do?
If you're now, let me ask you this: if you're Portland, right, and Dame comes, he says he wants out, and you take one of these deals. At that point, that CJ McCollum for Ben Simmons thing doesn't look too bad because at least, like Ben Simmons, at least has a name already, right?
Well, you got to think about these deals first because you got to decide. Really, it will be with the general manager and Billups because you got to decide how you want to play. So if you bring in Ben Simmons, you're gonna have to commit to Ben Simmons being the point guard, not a forward, because he can't do anything else. So you can't have him out there. He can't be in any role where he's expected to score points.
Yeah, that's true.
So everybody else on that team is gonna have to be guys that can score. So here, like I wouldn't draft a point guard and trade for Ben Simmons. There's no way I would do that.
Right.
Yeah, you just like the Ben Simmons thing is just basically you looking for another face of the franchise, and he just so happened to be there. Like RJ Barrett is good, but RJ Barrett right now, you can't really sell him as the face of a franchise.
No,
He may be better than Ben Simmons today, right now.
he'll
His
be up.
defense isn't as good, but his offense is certainly much further along.
Oh yeah, it's way,
He's
way.
a little younger, right? What is he, 20 years old? Ben Simmons is 24. So, but Ben Simmons, I think, given that he's been to a couple of All-Star games and stuff like that, he's an easier sell as a face of a franchise. So if you're Portland, you may want to bring somebody in. But to me, I don't know if I go that route just simply because of the cap space. He messes up some of your flexibility.
Yeah, if you bring back, but you know what? I'd maybe do it, but you'd have to, as much as they don't want to. If you put Tyrese Maxey in that deal, I'd do it.
Yeah, because he's another young guy, right? Who has a ton of potential.
Yeah.
So Portland,
sheet, yeah.
Yeah, Portland. I think they should blow it up regardless whether Dame was asking for a trade to get out of there or not. I think they should have been looking to move him. And obviously, I'm a huge Dame fan, but they're not going to win with him.
No, they're not at this point. I mean, so many other teams got better. Remember, Denver was still playing real well, and Jamal Murray was out. What happens when Jamal Murray comes back? So there's a lot of teams that's going to improve just by. I mean, I don't think Anthony Davis is going to be hurt all next year.
And squeezed into the playoffs, right? Let's not forget that.
Yeah,
barely got in.
You got to remember
they were in that whole play-in thing, and they got in.
Well, think of it this way: you got teams that was on the fringe that got high draft picks. So Memphis is not going to get any worse.
Golden State, I'm sure, is coming back, right? Hopefully, Klay Thompson is healthy, so they're going to be a different team. They got another decent pick, right?
Mm-hmm. They got two. I think they got two.
Two picks.
2 in the top 10, right? Yeah, 2 in the top 10.
They got top 15.
Yeah, they
Top.
definitely got 2 lottery picks, right? So they got 2 lottery picks. Clay Thompson, hopefully coming back healthy. Wiseman with a year under his belt.
Wiseman, yeah, Green, Wiggins. I mean, they got some players on that roster.
They're going to be a decent team again. So
Yeah,
Portland, yeah, I think they just need to blow it up, go completely, young, and just wait out some of these other teams. Eventually, LeBron James will slow down a bit, right? And
I think that might have started happening
Curry's
already.
up there in age, right? Steph Curry's in his early 30s. So you go young and just wait out those
Bro,
teams.
it's funny you mentioned those two guys because there's a rumor floating around that LeBron James trying to recruit Steph Curry. I mean, listen, I'm gonna tell you, I like LeBron James, right? But everybody puts a lot of pressure, a lot of heat on all these other guys. LeBron James is the originator of teaming up with people. Now he's trying to recruit Steph Curry. And first of all, Steph Curry left Golden State to go to the Lakers. You know what I would tell LeBron? I'll play with you if you leave there to go to Golden State. You and Anthony Davis leave and go to Golden State, and I'll play with you. But there's no way I'm leaving Golden State with a chance where I could play my whole career, already won championships and MVPs, to go play with LeBron.
And plus, how much money? Because he's up for that Supermax.
Yeah, he's the first person ever to get 2 Supermax deals from a team. I'm going to leave that to go play in LA just because it's LA. And who's
LeBron?
Yeah, who does that benefit? That doesn't benefit him, and that benefits LeBron. There's no benefit for Steph Curry leaving to go there. Steph Curry's got what, 1 championship loss? LeBron's got more losses than wins.
It would be entertaining to see, but if I'm Steph Curry, I'm not the one that's going over there to make it happen.
No.
Maybe after this deal or something, if we're both in our late 30s and we still want to play together, we're still in the league, I consider it, but I'm not leaving 200 and something million on the table.
Yeah, so I could go play with LeBron. Yeah, that's just not gonna happen. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me at all.
No, I didn't read the quote, but supposedly the Warriors owner made some statement saying that if Steph wanted to leave, then basically he's earned that right to do whatever he wants. But I didn't see it, but supposedly he said something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Then they had some other rumors floating out there, but the Nets and Kyrie trading Kyrie, that's never gonna happen either. They trade Kyrie, you might as well start breaking up that team already because you're gonna end up with Kevin Durant, disgruntled, James Harden. Those guys was him. Those guys are there playing together because they want to play together, and that's what they want.
They were saying that they could potentially look to bring Westbrook over there and reunite the old KC team. That would be entertaining.
Yeah,
at the very least to see those three come back together, but in a Nets uniform.
I'll tell you this guy made a mistake because they tried to get Serge Ibaka to go there.
Yeah, that's right. Plus, he may be available again, right? I don't think he signed a long-term deal with the Clippers.
Yeah, he'll be available again because I don't think he hasn't played.
Healthy. Yeah.
Yeah, the Clippers not going to keep him, so he'll be available. So it'll be interesting. I mean, going through looking at it, we look at the rosters and different stuff. After the Nets loss was him. I thought about it, and it was him. As much as I wanted to see the Nets go to the championship, I think with the health status and the way KD played and stuff, I think this year I'll give him a pass just because I don't think Kevin Durant could have did any more than what he did. And James Harden, Kyrie was out, and James Harden was a shell of himself. So if you think about KD playing with those guys, that was like the same thing as basically KD playing with next to nobody.
Yeah, all KD needed was at least one of them to be healthy, somewhat healthy. But like you said, James Harden was gimpy and Kyrie was out. If he would have had at least a somewhat healthy James Harden, then I think they would have been in the finals.
Yeah.
I still think they need to sort out their big man rotation.
Yeah.
But at times, Claxton played well, then they just kind of went away from him. I didn't see him. Jordan, I didn't think he was terrible. He kind of like just fell out of favor. I don't even know who their bigs were in the playoffs. They kind of went small ball, or I don't know what they were doing in terms of big.
Yeah, I think they were playing Blake Griffin and Jeff Green at the center.
Yeah, I think they could have used Claxton out there for high energy, even Jordan maybe. Because I don't think Jordan's skills really, he's not the same from when he was with the Clippers, but I don't think his skills diminished that much. You know, when he was to start the season, he played well for them, I thought.
I think to me, I think part of them losing too was some of Steve Nash's inexperience, because I do think that DeAndre Jordan could have did just as well defending Giannis, knowing that Giannis is going to run to the basket. Like, if Giannis wasn't going to back him down, that wasn't going to happen. So
yeah, that's true.
I think that was in that if he would have played more in the rotation, I would have. Yeah, Claxton might have had to sacrifice during that time, but he should have played at least against the Bucks. There's no way that he should have not played.
And I thought Giannis was able to, even though Griffin is a strong dude, I thought Giannis was able to kind of like muscle up with him a little bit.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that would have worked with DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, so that I thought was a bad decision. So I think some of this stuff is Steve Nash's experience learned. To Jordan's credit, those guys' credit, nobody complained. So
plus, you can't even make the argument in terms of Blake Griffin. Yeah, he could spread the floor a little bit more than Jordan, but you can't even make the argument that he's better finishing around the rim than Jordan.
No,
I think Jordan could still finish better than Blake at this point.
Jordan's a much better finisher, a better rebounder too, and a shot blocker. Yeah, rebounder, shot blocker, and finisher. So I don't know about that decision.
I think he became, which granted he did play well, but I think he kind of became Steve Nash. That is, became obsessed with Bruce Brown too.
Yeah,
Bruce Brown played well, but at one point Bruce Brown was starting.
Yeah, and some of these other guys, his rotation, some of the guys he put in, like he was committed to playing small for some reason. Like, I don't know why a guy like Tyler Johnson would even get into a game. You understand? Yeah, it's not that he's a bad player, but I couldn't see in the playoffs at that point whose minutes where Tyler Johnson should be in.
Yeah, so, this is a guy who barely played in the regular season. Now you're gonna throw him out there in the playoffs? Joe Harris seemed to be a bit off too. He couldn't knock down the jumpers the way he normally does.
Yeah, he didn't play well at all. So I don't understand that one. I'm hearing some of the Knicks got possible eyes on Jalen Brunson and Andrew Wiggins.
I didn't hear about the Wiggins one, but I wouldn't be upset. I like Wiggins.
I mean, for me,
up to the whole LeBron James type of hype, but I like Wiggins.
Would you give it a Wiggins? Would you give it a Barrett for Wiggins? Because I don't know if you can have Barrett and Wiggins both on the court at the same time.
I may consider it. Reason being is, like if I'm Tibbs, right? Tibbs is not trying to wait for development. We all know that. Tibbs is not a guy who's so RJ Barrett has potential to be great. But Tibbs, I don't know how much Tibbs is going to want to wait for these guys. So if I'm still the contender now, I want Wiggins, I want Julius Randle, I want guys who've been in the league for a couple of seasons. Tibbs. Other than that, I probably wouldn't do it. But given that Tibbs is the coach, I wouldn't be opposed to that trade. Either that, or that's probably why they're looking at Kelly Oubre, who I do like.
Yeah,
I think he struggled over there in Golden State, especially with like his jump shot. But I like Oubre. He's a talented guy. He's still relatively young, but he has experience.
Yeah,
I think Tibbs is looking for. I like Wiggins.
Those guys like Wiggins and Oubre and stuff, I think the things that they have over Barrett is just that they're able to finish through contact. Like they don't sometimes I think Barrett is not sure of himself. He'll get to the basket and then he'll slow down or turtle up. These guys are trying to attack the rim every second. Whatever. They might be a little more athletic than him too.
I think so, yeah. I think they're both more athletic. Barrett, I think, is a decent athlete, but I don't think he's as athletic as Wiggins or Oubre. I think he's a strong dude, though, Barrett. But what those other guys, at least right now, do that Barrett can't do is create a shot for himself off the dribble. Which I think, from my understanding, Barrett was saying that he's going to work. That's his next phase. He knows that too. So first phase, right? First off season was work on that jump shot, which he did. He got better at the free throw line and 3-point line. Next phase going into this summer is to be able to shot create, make shots off the dribble. I don't know the way his movement is. He's not that fluent. So I don't know if he'll ever be that dude who's able to just cross you over and pull up type of thing. Whereas Wiggins can do that now. Wiggins been doing that since he came in the league.
Yeah.
You know, Oubre somewhat too, you know.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad. I think you could play both of them together, or Oubre with Barrett, Wiggins with Barrett, because I think Wiggins and Oubre can create shots for themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
and they aren't all dominant guys either.
No. The other guy, I mean, I like these guys as him as players, but I'm not sold on Jalen. Jalen Brunson, I don't think, like, when I look at the NBA and I look at the players that are successful and the way the direction they're going, and the NBA is going, I think Jalen Brunson can be an average point guard or backup point guard, but I don't see Jalen Brunson being when you look at these guys, even the college guys, when you see Jalen Suggs, do you see Jalen Brunson, or when you see guys like John Morant and the different guys he'll have to contend with, like Jalen Brunson, I like him, but I wouldn't put him out there as no starting point guard against some of these guys. I mean, looking at LaMelo and all these different guys.
To me, it depends on what. When I heard they were interested, like you said, in my mind, I said he'll be a hell of a backup. If they're interested in him as the starter, I'm a little bit concerned. I wouldn't be completely upset with it if we had other moves lined up and it was like a money type of move. Yeah. Where we brought in a Oubre, or we traded for Wiggins, or we brought in somebody else, right? That was more expensive, that ate up a lot of our cap room. And now we brought in Jalen Brunson to fill out the rest of the starting lineup or something like that. But I'm definitely not going out day one of free agency and signing Jalen Brunson, you know, unless I made all my other big moves. And he's, like I said, he's just filling in. I'm not upset with the move if they go that route, assuming we get somebody else. But if we end up with a Jalen Brunson as one of our main key signings of the offseason, then I think that's a disappointment for Leon Rose. That means to me he didn't deliver. Granted, I don't necessarily want him to overspend to try to make it seem like he delivered either. And what I mean by that is I'm comfortable with Lonzo Ball at around the $18, $19 million. But if you go out and you start paying Lonzo Ball $24 million or whatever, you max out Lonzo Ball, I don't know if I agree with that either.
No.
Simply because the guy, and I love Lonzo Ball, but I don't know about his aggression. You know, I don't want another Ben Simmons. You know, if I'm going to pay you max money, I need to see you out there aggressive. The Knicks need somebody aggressive. Ben Simmons, we already seen where he's, you know, like in the playoffs these last few seasons. So I don't want to repeat that. Give a guy a big contract. Now he's out there scared to shoot. I think Lonzo is a little bit better in terms of his jumper than Ben Simmons, but he kind of sort of scares me a little bit too in terms of you give him this big deal. Next thing you know, he's shying away from shooting and everything else. We don't have enough talent on the roster to bring in somebody like that at the moment for that huge price.
I like Jalen Brunson. I like Jalen Brunson a lot. I think he's heady, make good decisions, he'll turn the ball over. And we don't need 5 all-stars, man, to win a chip. He's mighty heady. We run a team, make good decisions. And I've seen Jalen Brunson make some big baskets, and he ain't afraid to attack that basket. He goes to the rack.
Yeah, that's true.
He goes to the rack. Before I add to Brunson, Kelly Oubre and Wiggins. You know, I like Wiggins. I like Oubre's toughness. He seems more tougher than Wiggins. Wiggins seems more of the explosive player, where he can put up 50 in any given night. Yeah. Where Oubre might be a better shooter though, but he's more tough and he's scared to, you know, back up anybody. Well, I think Wiggins kind of, you know, soft a little bit here and there. And plus, New York City is big time, man. This ain't Golden State.
But I thought Wiggins did a decent job at shedding that reputation a little bit because a lot of times this season Wiggins picked up the best player on the offensive end in terms of on defense. I thought Wiggins did a good job of buying in on the defense and playing tough. Granted, Kelly Oubre is the type of guy that, and I think the Knicks need those type of players where he catches a dunk, he's going to scream, he's going to bump into people, push people around. I think the Knicks need those type of players because right now I think they're a little bit too soft in terms of that.
Right.
Wiggins isn't that, right? Wiggins occasionally will catch one of those highlight dunks and scream or whatever, but that's just not who he is. Whereas Oubre, like you said, Oubre brings that toughness.
Yeah.
And I think we kind of sort of, granted, I'm glad we got quickly, but I think we kind of sort of missed that out of Marcus Morris. I think he would have helped us in the playoffs this year against the Hawks, bringing that toughness. Trae Young, doing all that, showboat, shimmy, shaking, and all that stuff. I don't know if that would have worked, but Mars down there,
So that's why I'm kind of not all in on Brunson too, because adding another quiet guy to a group of quiet guys, and with him and the Knicks. You look at the roster, even Julius Randle, they need athletes. Like they need horses. They need guys. They need guys. Like, put it this way, if I was going to spend money, why not try to get John Collins or something? If I was going to get somebody off the Pelicans roster, you know who I would get? Josh Hart. He'll fit in perfectly to what the Knicks are trying to do. That type of guy.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, look, like bring in some guys that's going to go in there. They're going to be fiery. They can finish above the rim. I don't want to see no more running into the paint, doing all this double pumping, triple pumping, all this nonsense. I want to see somebody
out there playing 25, 30 minutes.
Yeah. So let's see somebody actually slam the basketball. And I bet you if we looked at the statistics on the Knicks, they probably was one of those teams with the least amount of dunks in the whole league this year.
And I think we have one of them. It's just that unfortunately he's kind of caught behind right now our best player, and that's Obi Toppin, right? That's why we drafted him.
And don't get me wrong,
he could create for himself, anything like that, Toppin. But one thing Toppin can do is finish. So imagine a guy like Toppin. That's why the point guard position is so important. When you got a guy like Trae Young, Collins doesn't have to do much but go up there and catch it. You give Toppin a point guard who can get into the paint and attack, Toppin will get you 18 points.
Yeah.
Or he can go up there and finish. If he can't do anything else, Toppin can catch him out. So if you get a point guard, which is why Damian Lillard would bring out the best in a guy like that.
Yeah.
Because he's going to get into the paint, Dame.
He'd be good for Mitchell Robinson, too.
Yeah, exactly. Those type of guys thrive with why you think Clint Capella doesn't have to do anything, right? Just go up there and catch a lob when Trae Young doesn't feel like shooting a floater.
So, I mean, with those two guys, if you got a guy like anywhere between the 1, 2, or 3 that was a little more athletic, don't get me wrong, you don't need a whole roster of athletes, but you do need some like right now. I mean, you got an athletic backup in Toppin, and you got an athletic center that I think Robinson will become the starting center again. I think so anyway. I'm not exactly sure. But you need to put some more athletes on that roster, some guys with some toughness, with a little bit of fire and stuff like that to help them out. Because just more Tibbs type of guys, because even if you think about it, I love watching the game. Derrick Rose was still one of the most athletic players on the Knicks. He was one of the quickest. He get to the front of the rim. He finished. I'm sure Quigley he can do that too. But you need guys like that. And you guys were saying, "Oh yeah," and I gotta agree. Half them point guards got to go. I mean, you got Derrick Rose you keep, but every single other one that not named Derrick Rose should not be on the roster next year.
Now you know why Tibbs won the Coach of the Year, right? You trotted out a lineup of Elfrid Payton, who can't shoot, can't score. Reggie Bullock, right, who can shoot a little bit, but he can't really score. He can't create anything for himself. No. Then you had a combination of Mitchell Robinson when he was out there played pretty well, but he went down. So now you got Nerlens Noel and Taj Gibson. Neither one of them can really score. Right? They played their roles okay, but they can't really score. Then you got RJ Barrett, who I think improved dramatically, but he can't really create a shot for himself yet. I think Quickly is better at right now today creating a shot for himself than RJ is.
Yeah, I would say.
He might not be a better player, but he's a better playmaker. He could create his shot a little better. So this man Tibbs went out there with a bunch of guys who can't create. Burks, I think, could create a shot for himself, but like P always says, if Burks makes the first 2 shots,
he's in love with himself.
He's going to shoot the next 10. You know, that's how Burks is.
Well, you guys a question. I heard that this guy from OKC might be available. Shai Alexander.
Oh, that would be nice.
Get him.
Yeah,
get him.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah, that'd be real nice. Yeah.
Right. So that being said, I want to ask you 2 guys a question. You have pick one player: Lowry, Brunson, or overpay for Ball. What are you doing?
I'm gonna on the Knicks. I'm gonna overpay for Ball.
Yeah, I think I may overpay for Ball. I like the idea of Lowry in terms of coming to a Tibbs coach team because Lowry's going to bring that toughness that we spoke on. Lowry can actually knock down an outside shot, which Peyton couldn't do all season long. So I like that part, but I think we kind of sort of need a young, fresh point guard. Granted, I think Lowry still has a lot left in the tank, but I think we need a young, dynamic, like a point guard where we could say he's the point guard for the future, at least for the next 3-4 years. And with Lowry, we may get 2 out of him, and that's about it. And I don't think our team is ready to compete for a championship in the next 2 years. So I think Lonzo Ball being 22, 23 years old gives us that point guard we need, so to speak, for the future. Plus, I think it depends on what you say overpay. I give him if Lonzo is expecting, let's say, $20 million, that's the going rate for him. I may give him 21, let's say. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not giving him 25.
Yeah, exactly. I ain't going that high. I let somebody else. I let the Chicago Bulls give him 25. I ain't gonna do that. But if it's $1 million, 2 over what other teams may have been willing to give him, I'll bid the Chicago Bulls by $1 million or 2 per season for him.
Okay, I got. I'm sorry, Kenyon. I got 2 more for you guys. I'm just curious, man. Cause I missed the Nets out portion real quick. I'm sorry about that.
Oh no, we didn't. Yeah, we didn't. We go back there. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll leave it at this. Would you guys take a reunion of DeMar DeRozan and Lowry in New York?
I would. Yeah, if I could get both of those guys, I would do that. I would do that. Yeah, I would do that. You know what? Because I think they complement each other real well. They play real well together. I think they're both professional. I don't think they would get in the way of Randall. I think those guys could come in and be a part of a team, and they'll contribute immediately. I don't think it'll be one of those things where they come in and they're trying to feel it out, see what they know what they could do. They're gonna do what they can do, and that's it. Like some of these other guys, like say a Lillard, I think it'll take some time for him and Randall to figure out how to play together.
Agree.
Whereas I think a guy like DeRozan and these guys, they're not really coming on a team to challenge Randall. They're not like, this is my team. That's not the mentality. Whereas Lillard's going to come in and he's going to want it to be Lillard's team.
Yeah, I would agree. I would do it if the price is right too, because the only way you do it is if you think you're going to win the championship, obviously, with these guys. So if you go, let's say, give Lowry, because Lowry's going to want 20-something million. He's not coming for $15 million, $10 million, Lowry. So you're going to have to give him 20 plus, I would say. DeRozan, you may be able to get – he's not going to take peanuts either, but you may be able to get him a little cheaper than Lowry, maybe. But it depends on who else you like bring in along with him, like in terms of on the cheap end. Because now you spent a good portion of your salary cap on these 2 guys, which I don't mind. Now you have them combined with Randall, which I think Tibbs would actually love that, right? Because Tibbs is all about the whole veteran thing, right?
Right. They all defend and stuff.
Yeah, who else do you put on the cheap end, like around those 3 guys that would actually make you title contenders?
I would draft a kid from Kentucky, Isaiah Jackson, later on, because he's another tall guy that can finish in the rim, defend, block some shots. I think at that point, if you look at the minutes, I wouldn't worry about the point guard. We got Derrick Rose still on the roster, so there's no more point guard minutes between Lowry, Rose, what's him? I think is Bullock under contract? Is one of those guys under contract? Bullock
Yeah, they're
or
both. Burks, Bullock. They're both
both
free
free
agents.
agents? Okay,
Yeah.
so if you take and have a 4 guard rotation and you think about, let's say you got Lowry, DeRozan, Rose, I would try to bring back one of those guys, Bullock or Burks, one of those guys back.
Mhm.
Then you figure you got RJ at the 3. What you do is I mean, unfortunately, it's not convenient, but Toppin might have to play some of the 3 or something, whatever. You might have to try to get him to play a little bit of 3. Whoever, or either move Julius down to the 3 or something, because whoever handles the ball better.
Now, like if they decide to go that route, if I'm them, I may go all in with it in terms of the whole veteran thing, and I may look to
move Toppin
bring in Drummond maybe too. Why not? Why not bring Andre Drummond in as
If
a
you're gonna do that,
a decent contract? And let him play that role as a big who's mostly going to rebound and clean up down low.
So
because Tibbs have these all veteran type of teams. So I can't really see some of these young guys mixed in with these veterans on a Tibbs coach team, because those young guys will never play. Once you get DeRozan out there, DeRozan's going to be playing 30-plus minutes.
Yeah.
What is RJ going to be doing then? Right? Because they're both 2 guards / small forwards.
Yeah.
Then you might as well bring in, let's say, a Kelly Oubre and just move RJ, trade him or something, right? And go all veteran, so to speak, with an occasional young guy here and there.
What you do is you're right. You trade those guys and you move them, and you basically have a situation where these guys you give it a 2-year run. You bring in these veteran guys, sign them to 2-year deals, and you see what happens from there. 2-3-year deals or something. And if it doesn't work out, remember, a lot of times the way the NBA works is crazy. So if you got Lowry for 2 years, say for $40 million, some team's going to take him on that second year because they're trying to get the money off the books. So all these guys, you get them on 2 years, because that's what the Knicks did smart the last time. They signed all these guys to these 2-year deals and stuff, where they could get them off the books easy. They're easily tradable. So you bring them in on those 2-year deals or something, a bunch of 2-year deals, and see what happens there. But you're gonna basically be in a tight rotation like the Nets then too. So if you bring in these guys, they're getting paid a lot of money. Like you said, they're gonna eat a lot of minutes, but you're gonna have to get a lot of rookies or young players that'll come up quick, because look at the Nets. The Nets are a perfect example. The whole team was, from what they said, Kyrie, Harden, and Durant was technically 85%. And if you put Joe Harris in when he's on, it was 91% or 92% between 4 guys. Joe Harris is off. You just got KD and the other 2 are not. Now you're down to about 32% of what the offense is, or 34%. And you basically can't win. So if the Knicks got out there and they brought these guys in, and was saying one of the concerns, like when Theo was saying, would I overpay ballers now, is Lowry's health is a concern. So if you put much money into Lowry and he goes out there and he gets hurt or injured, at least in that particular case, you already have Rose, so that helps somewhat. But thankfully, guys like DeRozan has been really durable. Randall's fairly durable. So, and Andre Drummond is fairly durable too. So those guys wouldn't be bad to have in there. But
another thing is, I wonder, granted, they're still going to want to get paid, but I think those 2 guys would take like less money to play together again.
Yeah, I think so.
If Lowry, let's say, thinks he can get 25, I think he would take 20, let's say, in order to play with DeRozan again. I think those 2
get those guys for 40 together. Both of them for $40 million. You can get both of them. Yeah, you can get both of them over there for $40 million, I believe. I believe you could do that.
I wouldn't mind that.
No, I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that, especially if it was any other coach. Then I may have something to say against it. But with Tibbs, we know how Tibbs loves the veterans. So, if we can win with that type of team, those 2 guys, then I wouldn't mind it.
I'll tell you this, the Nets got some decisions to make too. Because I will tell you, the big 3 are not going anywhere. Joe Harris is staying. So those are the only 4 guys that based on financial commitment and they want, that'll be there. And then you got to start thinking about, unlike the Knicks, who unfortunately is based on the coach and the organization, the Nets are based on the players. So now you got to figure out if I move this guy, are the rest of these guys going to act like babies? So DeAndre Jordan, they didn't play him, but they might not be able to move him. You understand what I mean? So
Yeah.
you got DeAndre Jordan, who they didn't let him contribute, but if you trade him, it might upset KD and Kyrie or something. And they might be friends with Blake Griffin. So there's a lot of stuff in there that's kind of crazy. I could tell you this. I think Landy Shamet will be back. I think he's under contract. He'll be back.
Yeah.
Most of those guys going to be gone. I think this guy will be back. The tall guy we were just talking about,
Claxton.
Claxton, he'll be back because he's under contract. And
Yeah.
but I don't know if Griffin will be back.
I could see.
I don't know if he's got years left.
Yeah, I could see him coming back for another run on a cheap deal. I don't think Bruce Brown will be back because I think he probably played
his way out of the contract.
Yeah, into a decent enough contract where they won't be able to afford him. They won't be able to throw, let's say, $7 million at Bruce Brown.
Let me tell you where they got lucky at, though. As much as people don't believe it, Spencer did when he opting out, gives them $11 million back on the cap. So they can use that $11 million to try to, give Blake Griffin some money or give Bruce. But I do think Bruce Brown is kind of in that Taylor Horton Tucker role thing where those guys gonna go out and somebody's gonna get them $8 to $10 million probably.
Yeah, I could see Blake Griffin coming back for a relatively cheap deal because he seemed to enjoy his time. He was, seemingly miserable over there in Detroit. Plus, who's actually gonna how much could he command on the open market? I think the Nets for Blake Griffin is a chance to kind of sort of do that whole cement my legacy by getting a ring. Where else could he go for one of those type of, championship possibilities? The Lakers. So why even bother? I'm already with the Nets. The Nets have just as good as a chance as anybody else. Are healthy.
I was going to say that's the only other place is the Lakers, but I think he kind of soured on that after the Clippers thing. So
yeah, do you want to go head back over there to LA? It's a different organization, but I don't really see him leaving.
I think one of the things that's interesting is that I think there's this myth that everybody wants to play with LeBron. I don't think everybody wants to play with LeBron. I don't think Blake Griffin, as much as we didn't know what he would give the Nets, he at least got to put the ball on the floor. He shot whenever he wanted to shoot. He was able to do whatever he wanted to do. They never told him not to shoot the ball and go stand in the corner.
Yeah, he seemed like he was having fun out there. Granted, he wasn't the old Blake Griffin from the Clippers days. We don't expect him to be, but he seemed to enjoy his role. He's not going to command. It's not like he's doing it for the money, where some team is going to throw big money at him. Plus, he already made a bunch of money. So I think now he's just looking for a team that's going to allow him to do what you just said. Still kind of sort of be a shell of himself, shoot when he wants, catch an occasional dunk, lob, or whatever it is, and just have fun and compete for a championship.
Yeah.
Is Jeff Green a 1-year deal or 2-year deal?
I think he's a key person. I think he might be on a 1-year deal.
Plus, he's Kevin Durant's friend again, right?
Yeah.
From the whole DC metro area, right? Maryland.
They're going to bring him back. They're going to have to. I think
more money too.
Yeah.
I
think the tough one though is DeAndre Jordan. I think the organization, if they could, would move on from him, but I don't think KD and Kyrie will let them move on from him.
He'll probably be one of those guys that's on the bench as like a veteran presence, maybe.
Herb Williams.
They already got a bunch of veterans, so I don't know what value that serves, but yeah, he'll be on the bench, I think, over there. Plus, even if you moved on from him, because I don't know, is he still under contract? If he's under contract, what could you possibly trade him for? It's like he has a bunch of value, so what's the urgency to trade him? And if he's not under contract and you want to re-sign him back, what is he going to get, a vet minimum? I give a vet minimum DeAndre Jordan. He's worth that or more. He could play that, Tyson Chandler type of role, right? As Tyson Chandler was on his last legs, DeAndre Jordan can do that.
Oh yeah, DeAndre Jordan gets signed. He'll definitely get signed if he gets moved. But I think he has another year left, DeAndre Jordan. I know he didn't get the same deal as Harden, Irvin, and Durant. He doesn't have the 4-year deal or whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's any urgency to move him. He's not making that much where he's going to clear cap space for you. Nobody's going to throw draft picks at you for him or anything like that. So, and plus he's their friend. Why upset, your franchise players by moving a guy who's not going to really return anything for you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
The only thing which so far hasn't been too much of a problem, but the only time it would become a problem is if he goes into next season. Right now, he wants big minutes again. Then they got a problem on their hands, right? Because Steve Nash obviously, for whatever reason, didn't think he was deserving of those minutes. He comes back next year talking about he's not looking to sit down again and play that bench role. Then you might have to get rid of him or figure that out.
Oh, then I just looked it up. They're not getting rid of him. He got the same 4-year deal. So next year will be his third year of the deal or whatever, and it's for $9 million plus. Don't get me wrong, a team will take him at $9 million. They could trade him with that number easily. Really,
that's $9 million per he's getting.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't even think he got that much.
I will tell you this. He could go right now. Charlotte will give up their draft pick probably for DeAndre Jordan at $9 million.
They'd be crazy too.
Very crazy.
He'll be on Portland next week. But yeah. So what do you guys think of it? Listen, we've seen the Olympic roster. We've seen some guys turn it down, and I was happy to see some guys just not be crazy. Like, I'm sure Mitchell wanted to go, but his injury, didn't permit it. Some guys, I think, might have. I'm glad Harden decided against it. LeBron, he put in a lot of work this last year, so I'm glad he was against it. Anthony Davis, he should never have been considered it. He ain't in no type of health. Yeah. But some of these guys, like, I'm glad to see him go. But should Bradley Beal have went?
I think he should have took the summer off. Obviously, he has the skills too, but coming back a hamstring thing or whatever he had going on, he might have wanted to take it easy too. Unless he's 100%, right? If he healed up that quick, I don't know the severity of his injury, but if he healed up that quick, then sure, why not? That would be my only concern with him is the injury he had. But if he's back to being healthy, then why not? I still personally have the concerns over them playing at all.
Yeah.
But obviously some guys weren't too concerned about it. So that aside, I don't see Bradley Beal like any issues with him playing, assuming he's healthy.
The only player I have an issue with is Kevin Love.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
I don't understand. He hasn't played all year, honestly. So he's been injury prone.
Yeah. What? I don't understand that.
Yeah. I probably would try to ask Ayton to join.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
But Kevin Love is my only issue with that roster. As far as how it's set up, who's on it, I have no issue with that. Just Kevin Love is my only issue.
Yeah. I was glad to see Kyrie Irving opt out too. That was smart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if you can get over to Tokyo and then have one of those "I don't want to play no more" type.
They might have. Probably told him it was a regular Nets game, so he opted out. That's why he went to the Olympics.
Yeah, you can't go all the way to Tokyo and then decide you don't want to play. So, yeah, I'm glad he didn't put himself or the team through that.
Yeah,
take it easy. I know he supposedly his wife, whatever, his fiance, whatever, is pregnant or just had a baby. Or take it easy, get your head right, and come into next season ready to go. I would say if you're him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, dude, when we look at this roster, just looking at it, it has the talent or something. Do we see this as I don't know if this is an easily winning roster. Like, do they win easy with this roster? Some of these foreign teams got decent big men, and we got Kevin Love and Bam.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wouldn't pencil them in like, I know that for sure they're definitely winning a gold medal with this team, but team definitely has a lot of talent, but I wouldn't pencil them in for a guarantee.
They got a lot of scorers. You know what they don't have too? Like, again, I like Lillard and I like these guys, but who's actually distributing the ball? Everybody on this team wants to score. Like, who's bringing a team together, getting other guys involved and stuff like that? I mean, you figure the only point guard. I mean, you got Drew Holiday, but he's not a traditional point guard. There's no traditional point guard on this roster at all.
Yeah. Um, I think sometimes when you play for a USA team, you kind of sacrifice who you
Yeah,
really are for your personal team. So I don't think that'll be a big issue because this is more of a nostalgia kind of thing, do for our country kind of thing. So might be a little more than winning a chip, I should say. Maybe you never know to some of these guys, but I can see these guys sacrificing, not worrying about scoring because right now it's about trying to win a gold medal for USA. So,
yeah,
but other teams in the past sacrifice. Kobe Bryant sacrificed a lot, I guess.
yeah,
He made many shots, but he sacrificed a lot to let Durant and LeBron, other guys go crazy, go ham. Then maybe fourth quarter, he do his thing. So I don't find these guys, being self-centered for a few games in Tokyo. I don't see that happening at all.
You know what I heard that's interesting about these Olympic rosters and stuff too? That that listen, that some of these guys get incentives, like and what's him in their sneaker deals and stuff for playing for the
Mm.
Olympics and stuff. So that's interesting too.
Nice.
Yeah, I could believe it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And too, I like having Draymond Green on our team too. I
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
Draymond Green.
some toughness and some
Yeah.
veteran
he'll
leadership.
distribute it. Yeah, he'll distribute
Yeah.
and he'll
Yeah,
he'll
and
Rebound, defend,
he play that
toughness.
point
Yeah.
forward role.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
that would be good. So we went through the NBA and we talked about the current playoffs and stuff like that. That's kind of been like the big thing on the plate, consuming everything right for them last couple of weeks or something. I think we should probably cut it off at the basketball today, and next week when we get into the finals, start looking at how our teams are doing in baseball because I took a peek and I don't know. Yeah, I see. We both see these
Yeah,
heads
yeah,
shaking
he's
or
gonna be
something.
falling apart again.
Yeah, Yankees are falling apart. The Mets look better than the Yankees. Well, I would definitely say that. We had some just a couple of things. We had some memorable fights. So Theo, what you think of the Lomenchenko fight?
Well, I was talking to Shannon before we started, and glanced through also some highlights. Um, he said that he felt good. He looked good. Some people had him losing the first early rounds. I guess sometimes you feel your guy out, so to speak. But Lomachenko went to the body, he broke him down, and finished him off. So he looked good. So he looked so good that he might get a rematch with Tio right now. They're talking about right now because Tio's dad was there in attendance watching the fight.
Mm-hmm.
So now he may get that rematch that he wanted against Tio. So, but Loma's great, man. He's a top 10 fighter in the world. Man. He's great. Glad that he's healthy.
So last night, what did you think of the fight with him and Devonta?
Devontae, he's a problem. Now, the problem with Devontae is that depending on the size of the fighter, he gets hit a lot. He ain't hard to hit.
No.
Errol Spence is nice. Don't get it wrong. It's Errol Spence. He's nice, but Errol Spence ain't hard to hit. He can get hit. But Tank is just so strong, man. And he just whether it was a jab or a body shot or a punch to the face, punch to the shoulder, he's just so strong. He just breaks you down eventually. So as
Yeah.
round gets on, those punches start accumulating into your body, man. And he let a good hard shot anywhere in your head to your waist, man. Down you go. The guy went down 2 times, man. I think 2 or 3 times last night.
Yeah.
And once again, he knocked somebody out with one shot. The last fight was a shot to the head. This shot was one shot to the body. So the power is definitely there. And he moved up 2 weight classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see the fight, but I seen the highlights of it, and that body
Right.
shot, dropped the guy.
Right. So you move up 2 weight classes and knock somebody out with one shot with his head to the body. That's saying a lot.
So who do you think is next up for Javante? Because I think he's gonna have for him to get good fights. He's probably gonna have to stay up at the weight class he's at.
Well, it seems like Javante and Floyd and Leonard Ellerbe, they're doing the getting the bag, but fighting C fighters, maybe a B+ fighters. Yeah, he ain't really getting there yet with some tough dudes though.
Yeah.
Not saying he would lose though, but a guy like me, I'm not a casual fan, man. So I know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it depends. There's guys out there. He can fight Timo. He can fight Lomenchenko. He can fight a lot of guys. He can fight Haney. He
Yeah,
can fight the other kid. This fight's out there. He can fight.
he's
That's for
gonna he's
sure.
gonna he's gonna chase the bag, just like you said. They're gonna
Yeah.
get together, see which one's worth the most, and then that's how his career is gonna go. I mean, makes sense. I mean,
Mhm.
from a monetary point, it's not the best for the sport, but
Right. I mean, the casual fans taking over the sport right now. Look at the Logan brothers. This is why the
Yeah.
guys is running boxing because of casual
yeah,
fans.
yeah, that is true. Yeah, like I mean, yeah, the Logan brought that's real interesting. Nobody in particular that actually watches boxing cares for watching the Logan brothers, but like
Right.
you said, the casual fan is real interesting to see a bunch of guys get out there and just go crazy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but guys, we're saying as we start to wrap it up, any final words, Kareem, Theo?
Um, just I'm looking forward to seeing what my Knicks do next season, which direction we go in, whether it's the veteran route that we discussed or just continuing to build through the draft, maybe get a young free agent or two in there. So I'm just looking forward to seeing what the Knicks do. So let's go Knicks.
Yeah, listen, shout out to the Islanders, man. They fell short for making the Stanley Cup Finals, but they had a great year. So they represented New York City very well for us. Yeah, it's good being on the show, man. It's been what, a week or two, I guess. It's been a while, man. You know what I'm saying? So it's good seeing you guys again. Once again, hope the family's safe and all that. But as far as that concerned, man, listen, man, let's go boxing, man. Tyson Fury is coming real soon.
Yeah.
So a lot more good boxing ahead of us, man. So can't wait.
Looking forward to seeing that. And again, listen, thank you guys for coming on or something, looking at this different, like the boxing coming up, these different coaches changing. Let's get Penny out there to coach the New York contendency. We got Cole Anthony, Mo Bamba, and Jonathan Isaac. Let's get Penny out there to coach these New York kids so we can bring it home.
Okay. Fellas, hold on before we go.
Yeah.
Ask me real quickly. What hurt the Nets? Joe Harris shooting or Steve Nash coaching?
we
Both, but I think
Gotta pick one, man. Come
it might
on.
have been. I think for me it might have been Steve Nash coaching. Simply because for me, as me and Kenyatta was saying, he almost became obsessed with going small ball, and I think that came back to bite him.
I don't understand how they could play Giannis and DeAndre Jordan not play 1 minute.
Right.
1 minute.
I didn't get that.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
I didn't get that at all. Agree.
Yeah, but thanks again, guys. Looking
Yes,
forward
sir.
to next week's show. Everybody stay healthy, be safe. Have a good week.
Take care, fellas.